Hi, this is the. Oh, there's not enough light. Hang on a second. Okay. Hi, this is the Gypsy Rover, and uh, we have an actual visit by Ian, our headless hunter. And just let you know, I'm the one that actually, just so everybody is a little less frightening, uh, I actually play Ian, one of the twin headless hunters in Hunter's Cabin. My story end of it, anyways. And that. And I'll see if I can go find him. Hi, this is Ian with Hunter. We're back here at Hunter's Cabin. We're doing the actual reopening for Devil's Night and Halloween, and that. And so it's going to be a very haunting experience. So we're going to on Devil's Night, and which is Black Halloween, and that the cabin here is actually going to darken down, and the lights are going to come on, like the orange lights are going to come on. The haunted fireplace is going to come on, and if you remember from the Dark Hunter's Cabin challenge, I gave the Halloween greetings at the end of that Dark Hunter's Cabin shows, and so the haunted voices will come out of the fireplace. Maybe they'll be back in the haunted fireplace. So there'll be a couple camera switches, and so anyways. And Halloween night, we're going to go back into the haunted part of Hunter's Cabin. This is now going to be the what you call the dark Hunter's Cabin costume countdown, which is we're already so close to Halloween now, which we are authentically at 7 days until Halloween. You probably noticed that yes, I am the same person. I'm also the Gypsy Rover. I also play. I do the voice of Ian. I do the voice of Ivan, and Pringles Pete, and myself, the Ghost Gypsy Rover, and that. So, it's to kind of bring that to life this year. And so next year, Hunter's Cabin is going to be a big, what you call a big haunt fest all the way through. There's not going to be the Dark Hunter's Cabin card game challenge like there was this year. So the shows are going to run next year, are going to run all the way right into Halloween night and next year, and when it comes back around again. And so I'm going to take you on a bit of a tour here. Some of the new replicants, some of the new dummies that were made. I did put the dummies back up just for this one more time because this is the party that the characters never made it to in the story. This is the Hunter's Cabin party, and that. So stay tuned. That'll be October 30th, October 31st, because Halloween night. That's going to be big scare fest. Also, two MFers in Guelph is going on an actual ghost hunt with Fog TV on Halloween night, and they're going to be live streaming that too, and that. So this here is a replicant to the story of Hunter's Cabin from my camp experiences as a camper, and on that night too, there'll be a dark, authentic tale told too, and by the Gypsy Rover. And like since now I play all the parts in here. That way, so when it does start getting into the you got the heads up before it starts getting onto the spooky side, who's doing all the voices and that kind of thing. We'll try not to be very, very, very frightening, and that, but it is Halloween, and it's that time of year where everything is all darkened down. Even some of the street addresses are all some places are going to doll up haunted houses and that kind of thing, and so this year Hunter's Cabin was a good fit for Halloween, and that. And we may hear from the Ghost of Pringles Pete too sometime that night as well. The Ghost of the Gypsy Rover, which I replicated myself in that story, and that, and also I had explained on how Hunter's Cabin came, how it originally, that one time it really did happen, and now it's just authentically just a ghost story. But like when I was a little kid, when I was at the actual camp, I had experienced some of the ghost sounds. I've experienced some of the shadow movements in the woods, and oh, excuse me, I picked my nose. And and come face to face and had close encounters with actually some of the horses of these two twin native headless hunters, and the third headless hunter. And the fourth headless hunter was, like I said, was anonymous, and but according to historical history, we knew that the main two headhunters, the ghost of the two headhunters, twin headhunters, was even back those days were Ian and Ivan, and that was still haunting the grounds and that kind of thing. And one video I had put on here, I had showed what empowered Hunter's Cabin, and what could have went on in those days. Even today, some of the, some of the tools that could be still used today, that might have been used today to bring these apparitions back, and like now I've replicated my apartment to the original cabin for Halloween, and so I thought this would be a great fit, and that. So it's all like I said, it's coming. We're reopening it one last time for you this year. So that'll be Devil's Night and Halloween Night. So we're going to go into what we're going to do is we're going to go into what you call the silence of in the Dark Hunter's Cabin challenge. You notice that there was a bit of sound effects, that kind of thing. In the original in the original time of Hunter's Cabin, there would not have been sound effects like this. The ghost sounds would have been real. When the apparitions came back to haunt, and they were head hunting and that kind of thing. Everything would have went totally silent, and all you would see come on is a dark haunted fireplace, and voices you would hear in the background, or you'd hear ghost voices. You see strange things, you see strange shadows. Again, when the hauntings actually started, when the apparitions came back, when the one apparition came back for his twin brother, there was a double-edged axe that he picked up because he thought it was a broom, and he took his brother's head. In that story, and and then the head was buried somewhere on the cabin grounds, and the other one came back looking for it, and then they both became ghosts, and they became headhunters, and they had linked together, and they became headless, twin headless, native headless hunters, and Ian was actually a witch. So halfway through, he had the magical ability and powers, evil powers. When he came back as an apparition, when he got fully into the cabin, he took took out so many campers and that kind of thing, and haunted the campgrounds. His powers got stronger because he was also a witch. So near the end of the story, you had seen when I had come out and reacting Ian, all of a sudden he appeared back in full human form. and as a like as would have as a ghost apparition by witchcraft power, and that so it shows you on how strong some of these can actually be, and identities can actually be. And so, like I said, Halloween itself is also an ancient, has its ancient rituals, and that kind of thing, and that so it also has its history on how it was founded and the early days and everything else like that, and what it was founded on, and what became of it, and so. There is, I do have a replicant that I did show you that might have been used in the, in the time of Hunter's Cabin, that people do, horror movie fans do buy today. They just collect it as a replicant. They don't really use it or use the tool of it. But there are people out there that do believe in using it. Due to the fact because I do actually have a black cat. Yeah, you can call that a replicant too. And so Atreyu is a black cat. So spiritually he'd be linked to that, and that's so that's why I did not put that out in the haunted house display. And that, so I've slowly kind of put some things together. I did run out of room to put the corpse dummy back up. That was actually kind of homemade stuffed, and like most of my dummies are stuffed. Basically, this is the point where I'm introducing Hunter's Cabin reopening, and coming back into the Hunter's Cabin just for Halloween night and for Devil's Night, and so basically. This is like an introduction video to that one, and that so when the actual Hunter's Cabin night comes, the 30th and the 31st, everything's gonna go dark, and it's just gonna be the fireplace on. There could be an authentic tale by me. It may actually be the Hunter's Cabin story, may not be, maybe a different one. Excuse me, my throat's getting kind of dry, and that, so yeah, so I'm just kind of before we actually get started into that, this is where I get to show you that I actually do the voices in the fireplace. I actually do the character of Ian, and I'm also the voice of Ian and Ivan, plus the third anonymous the three anonymous headless hunters. That was always been unnamed or unknown, and in the last set of videos in the Dark Hunter's Cabin challenge, when you seen where Pringles Pete had lost his head, and that kind of thing, that was me throwing his hat on the floor, because Pringles Pete was me. And doing the voices and the glasses, and had took the glasses off, took the tool belt off, and had threw his hat and that on the floor, and that kind of thing to make that sound real. And then when it came down to me, the Gypsy Rover, becoming a ghost trapped in Hunter's Cabin, losing my head, you seen a plastic axe come across the screen. And that was a plastic axe. That wasn't a real one, and that was me just pretending to put it up to here, like this, and that was a quick. That character was a quick silence, and again, then you heard what you call. I had taken the sound effects, like the hammers on my tool belt. I had taken my tool belt off, and that went to the ground, and both hammers crossed in front of the haunted fireplace, and then the double-edged axe crossed in front of the fireplace, and with the native beads, First Nation beads, and that I had made when I was at Camp Northern Lights as a kid, and so that's what authentically that you saw, if you were actually scared of that. That was, like I said, this version, my version of Hunter's Cabin, is replicated to the real one. Now, if we, like I said, if we were filming at the real one, there would have been actually real apparitions actually being caught on tape, be caught on here, and everything would not be replicants. Everything would actually really happen. In one of these videos, something was really caught. If you actually go back and listen to some of them, like when I was doing the voices in the haunted fireplace, and I was questioning, facing my fears, facing my two native headless hunters, and the third one, when they were giving the warning that they were coming to take over the cabin, if you notice, there was a female's voice that spoke up in that video. Nobody even knows where that came from. My wife wasn't home, and the cat was sleeping on the table, like he likes to sleep on the table. But all of a sudden, in the room, there was an actual voice of a female. That was real. That was actually real, because it was authentically quiet. There was actually a real response. And that is the thing about Hunter's Cabin. No matter where it's ever told, how it's always told, something will always respond. And that's what a lot of, if you look at a lot of these paranormal investigators that are out there, that's what they're actually looking for, is to see if there's going to be a response to that kind of thing, so they can catch it. And the fact that I do also live in an historical building. At one time, my apartment building here that replicates Hunter Cabin used to be the old Union Bank, and it was a very, very old historical building, and that. So it's we're going into, like, with Halloween coming, this is gonna be and like I said, this is not the first time I've done haunted houses. I have done outside haunted houses where all my stuff had blown away, and I had to go buy all brand new stuff, and for it. And so now I live in an apartment building, and like I said, we don't get trick-or-treaters with the apartment buildings, because they can't come to door in the building. They come as far as the lobby, and that kind of thing. And sometimes the superintendent will have a bowl of candy down there that she hands out at the front door or whatever. Last year they didn't, but some years they do. That kind of thing. So anyhow, we are so now this way I don't have to, everything's wind controlled. I don't have to worry about losing all my stuff or everything blowing away and me chasing it down the street halfway through the haunting theme of it. That's why I said Halloween is slowly coming, and it will be here 2 weeks from, I think, a couple days now, because I think we're on the 24th. 24th, 24th, 25th, yeah, somewhere around there. So it's not too far away. It's 7 days away. So that's a week and a half. So anyhow, I'm gonna take you through right now, show you how some of these replicants work, and that. So I'm gonna since now I got the light actually dim, I can take my hoodie off, and that. So that way you can actually see me, because it's kind of hard to see me with the hood on. And so anyhow, we'll pick my phone up, and oh, my hair's just sticking up. So we are going to switch the cameras, and you're going to see in the light what's going to scare you. Now this chair here, right here, actually, I've got a binder. I've got actually replicants of write-outs on different witchcraft symbols, and that, so what they all represent, and satanic symbols. Here you have one of the tool belts that I did sound effects from, the heel of my shoe, and the hammers clicking on the inside of the tool belt, and that you heard in actually in the incoming of the horseshoes. And that, so, and the Yahtzee dice container. This is where I'll be sitting. It means I could be as Ian, I could be actually also authentically using the e-costumes on I call them e-costumes, electric costumes on here too, and that, so you get to actually authentically, this is the chair that I kind of blackened, well, they can't say blackened down, but covered over with like a leopard, like a black white leopard thing. And over there is my actual karaoke box, but again, that is not plugged in. It'll be just me kind of doing the voices through the microphone because this already has a microphone in it, so I unplugged that. And that there's just an incense burner and red flowers. And over there's another tool belt. That was part of the sound effects, and I had the reflectors and around the strobe light. And down there you can see we have the what you call the cross hammers and the rifle down laid on the brown thing, and that, so that was a symbol of, would have been the symbolations of the haunting in Hunter's Cabin. And when that haunted fireplace would come on, that double-edged axe, if it like the actual real one, that's like I said, this is a plastic duplicate, and but the real one and the real hammers would have started dripping with blood. And that, and over here is the haunted fireplace, which is just a regular electric fireplace. In the real Hunter's Cabin, the fireplace is actually real. And I'll kind of turn this on and see if it's working. That way I can test to see. Nope, that axe decides to fall over again. You see, I held the camera up to the flame, so that way when I talked in the background and did the whisper of the voices, it made it sound like it was coming out of the fireplace. So, also too, it gives you some good ideas if you're doing a haunted house and that kind of thing, indoor or outdoor. And that, so what you're seeing was the light from the fireplace, and that, so on in the dark, and it was in the pitch black, and me talking to the fireplace and doing that. So, well, I get up off my knee, and behind there is our friend Pringles Pete. He's actually, last time he was a vacuum cleaner. I wonder what he is this time. Oh, he's a camera stand this time, and video camera stand this time. So he wanted to be something different this time around. Of course, like he always is. And that, ain't that right, Pringles Pete? Yeah, Gypsy Rover. Thank you, Pringles Pete. And moving right, bye, Pringles Pete. Bye, Gypsy Rover. Okay, so anyhow, over here we've got another dummy. He's stuffed, and a lot of you Ghostbusters probably recognize the suits. I bought the Ghostbuster suit at Salvation Army for like $5 with inflatable proton pack, which is actually got a hole in it. They sold it to me with a hole in it, so I blew it up and inflated it like 5 times already, and she's already shrinking. And that, and over here is a Dark Hunter's Treyu. Anyhow, yeah, you can go ahead and sleep there. He just sleeps anywhere he wants. But this is my cat Atreyu, and his middle name is, by the way, is Jupiter Plain. So his middle name is Jupiter, but his last name has my last name Plain. And here you can see we've set out the Dark Hunter's Cabin Challenge cards from the card game and the white gloves, and a sign that says Hunter's Cabin Dark Hunter's Cabin Challenge Halloween 2017 Hunter's Cabin Haunted House thing. And over there is, you can tell, is I've got a strobe light. Since nobody is here with seizure problems, I'm not bending down to plug it in because I can't find the actual plug for that. It's probably way in the back, but actually that comes on, and and plus I just got that today. I got that today. It was the Ghostbusters 2 symbol, and I bought that from Amazon. I'll see if I can find the plug here, and just hang on and bear with me here. Oh, there we are, and get this plugged in already. Oh, she's gonna work. Oh, I'm tripping on my tape. Oh, sorry, bud. I'm gonna block your eyes here, bud. Okay. So anyhow, that's how that works. So, sorry, buddy. Just testing stuff out. Okay. I'll move you. Okay, go back to sleepy. Sorry, I forgot. I keep forgetting you're there. But anyhow, go back to sleepy. That was just a quick test. And just don't bang into anything. I do enough of that. And so here we have. I bought the Ghostbuster 2 symbol. That is a strobe light. I may not even use that this time around. I used it in the last Dark Hunter's Cabin challenge shows, and my nose is running. And here I put an extra lamp. I think she's not looking too healthy, but again, here we've got I've got the lights there. These set work, and then we got those, and that still decorated. And then there's a set in the other room. That's the crystal ball, and that's that setting. And oh, excuse the mess, people. It's my room. It's I'm a messy. I get my room in a mess. And that. So I've got the other lights, the background shining lights. And that will go that way. And that. So at first this started out as a haunted cabin room, but of course, since all these dummies did nothing but complain, they wanted to move over out to the bigger area, and so we gave them the bigger space. Usually I have the ironing board set up with I will turn you back, and usually again my hair's sticking up. Usually I have the what you call the ironing board actually set up with a stuffed dummy with a stuffed what you call a corpse dummy in it, which is just a dummy which is stuffed, pre-stuffed and everything, and he's laying out on a big ironing board, and that. So I wanted to this time because sometimes I'll sit back at Halloween nights and watch a movie or whatever. And there'd be no room on the couch for him and me, and that. So it's just a small area, and then we've got this guy here, and Hunter Bob or whatever his name is, and in the combat jacket, combat hat, and we've got another dummy going here, and of course Atreyu sits there so still like he thinks he's a dummy. And that, and so I forgot he was facing the other way towards the bike, because at first I thought his head was the other way, because sometimes he rotates when he sleeps, like he'll get up and he'll move the other way and then he'll move the other way, and so that's why I covered his eyes so it wouldn't bother him. Anyhow, and that. And the Ghost of Me, Gypsy Rover, he's gonna be in this round too. And we've got our captured Ghostbuster here that tried to take out Ian and Ivan, and the two native headless hunters, and he's all ready to go. Our lights. I got my skeleton lights, but again, the skeleton lights have no batteries for them yet. Still waiting on batteries for them. Like I said, that this is gonna be like I said, we're reopening Hunter's Cabin one more time. Even though our Dark Hunter's Cabin challenge show card games are done, we're going back into the Hunter's Cabin just for this Halloween night, and because we've got the extra time to, or if we had stretched it all the way through right into Halloween night. That kind of thing. If the cabin didn't get challenged by our challenger in the middle of a card game, but next year it is not going to be on a card game. Next year she's going to be all dolled up, and it's gonna be set up to haunt all the way through, and hopefully next year there's going to be new replicants, that kind of thing. That I'm working on. Over the summer, I'm gonna be out shopping. I'm gonna be out looking around at yard sales, buying up at yard sales, buying up some pieces to add to Hunter's Cabin when it comes around. That comes rolling in and comes around again next year, and that'll be pretty good. and I hope everybody's having I hope everybody's having a great Halloween week. If anybody's already had some of their Halloween parties, some people have. That's always good, because sometimes some agencies do them early, and then some wait till closer to the night of Halloween. Optimus now this year is not doing anything for Halloween because of what's going on in Purple Valley, with a big Stomp and Stomp, and which is a old barnyard Halloween Stomp and Stomp party, and that so everybody's running to that. Like I said, I don't trick or treat anymore. Since now we don't have the house anymore. When I grew up in the townhouses, I did haunted houses outside for the trick or treaters. Same when when I was living in the house a couple of years ago. I did a haunted house outside of the house, where everything was all blown away, and that kind of all the stuff blown away. Now because I live in an apartment building, I thought it'd be idea to bring out my Hunter's Cabin experience and story, and do the Hunter's Cabin haunted house theme starting this year, and with the Dark Hunter Cabin Challenge card game, and then you had the bit of the twist, that kind of thing with the last shows, and that now right on Halloween night, this is basically the party the characters never made it to because they all became ghosts before they got to it, and so now we're reopening now Hunter's Cabin just for Devil's Night this year and Halloween night, since we've got the extra time, because our Christmas shows, we're going to start those in November, and that's going to go on to, and that's easier to do a Christmas countdown, so then you don't have that bit of a drag, and then we're going to as of New Year's Eve 31st. If we make this Hunter's Cabin party, finally, and New Year's Eve, which will mark 8 years of Jokers on Duty being Jokers on Duty's 8th anniversary. So, which Jokers on Duty came from Joker's Corner, that I originally started, and then in 2010 I went into a bigger video movement onto regular VHS. And then from there, because now technology's changed, we've now come into a Facebook generation. So now it's making a move right across, and that. So if you want to call it social media, you can call it social media, and that. So So I'm looking forward to the Hunter's Cabin night, reopening of it. And just for this one more time this Halloween, and then it'll start up again next year, and that's so. I just thought I'd take you through, and some of the card plays that were played are laid out this time. Next year, the actual cards won't be laid out. It'll be all mixed different replicants, so the deck of cards won't be out. Just because the deck cards were out this time around is because from our relating back to our Dark Hunter's Cabin Challenge card game, and which these series started, and then we took a bit of a break, and in between, and so now we're coming authentically right on to Halloween. Now, we're into doing haunting, Facebook. Haunted Hunter's Cabin costume countdown shows, and that's so just that way we can get Halloween over with and close out Halloween and enjoy Halloween, and that kind of thing. And I hope this is all enjoyable for you. And this was your Gypsy Rover, and like Michael Klotz would say from MFers. Peace, love, positivity, and also before I send off this was your Jokers on Duty. We had a wonderful session live session the other day, because sometimes Michael Klotzman and my first, he'll come visit in others streams and that as a guest speaker, and I was glad that he had come and visit my stream and that as a guest speaker, and that so. He had come to check out my streams and that, because sometimes he'll move around and he'll join into the streams, and and that just to visit and hang out, and that, and just to get to know your streams, the video streams, and get to know how, just to see how people are doing, and that kind of thing. And so it's like a social, again, it's still a bit of a social, and so anyhow, like me, the Gypsy Rover would say, this was your Jokers on Duty. Have a great day. For some reason, when I put that down, it doesn't want to. The finish button doesn't want to work. And this was your Jokers on Duty. Have a great day, guys.